agenda.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order this morning.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we actually move on, I want to bring up the fact that we need to run a more orderly meeting, and there'll be no outbursts tolerated by anybody during the meeting. So now we'll go on with approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda. Printed.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes from last week.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Discussion.
Any discussion?
The part of the minutes that have a motion on it, that there wasn't a second or a call for a second, do we need to address that?
I think it's just a motion that failed to have a second. I don't know if that needs to be taken out of there.
No, I'm not saying take it out. I'm just saying, was there a call for a second?
No, there was not. So it failed for lack of a second.
If we want to make that motion further under commissioner reports, we can at that time. Because it did die for lack of a second, but I did probably fail to ask for a second too. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. All in favor? All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment period. Anybody wish to address? Okay. Yes, sir. State, you have to say your name and your township.
Good morning, I'm Gary Buxengard, I'm from Wilmington Township. I'm here on my own behalf and on behalf of those that live awful close to the highway or township roads and that. I'm wondering why we can't get our chloride it's the same way that the county people do on their roads. They have it put on automatically, they don't have to pay for it, and I'm wondering why we can't, or at least get our chloride for nothing. Because we pay taxes too, and it's really not fair that we have to pay our township, they have to go through you. If the township needs chloride for salt and sand and stuff like that, I can see where you charge the township. But why do the township people have to buy their chloride to put on in front of their businesses or their homes or stuff like that? I can see putting it on county roads and that, but there again, you're wasting a lot of money where you put it on in front of driveways that are a mile, half a mile, 3/4, even a quarter mile off the road. And they don't get dust into their faces or their farms and, or buildings and stuff like that. I'm wondering why we have to pay for it.
Are you speaking for the townships or the residents of the township?
Residents of the
Residents,
township.
okay, that's what I
I
understand.
mean, there's Mark Gerard, he's got, his buildings are right on Four Corner Drive and Bangs Road. You have Stuart Dibley that lives on the road going down to Winnipeg, or you have Privets that live on South Prairie Road. Kenneth Anderson lives on Church Road. We have to buy our chloride through the township. We get it from the county, but it has to go through the township. And we pay our taxes. Why do we have to buy it? Why can't we just go and get it and spread it on ourselves, or have the county come out and put it on? And that's what I'd like to know.
We usually don't reply, but I will check on it for you.
All right, thank you.
Donna Bucky, Yucatan Township. I wasn't here for the last couple of weeks, but I did watch the videos and I heard who was in the audience to cheer the fall-flat attempt to scold someone for standing up for the health and safety of his constituents. I also heard Justin Zamieski encourage you, Judy Storley, to look at some, quote, shocking documents, unquote, when the meeting adjourned. I'm not sure what he was referring to, but I suspect it was about the many complaints made to the county, the personnel department, about actual bullying, intimidation, harassment, and actual threats to harm property, as well as many complaints about the selective enforcement of ordinances based on some of your staff's desire to reward or punish the people. Some of the people here to cheer you on last week are named in these complaints. So much for their concerns about bullying and democracy. Gray-haired senior citizens, some of them quite frail looking, had the cops called on them just for speaking politely to a couple of commissioners after a meeting. Who was the real bully? Stop the antics. Recognize the real aggression that is unfolding because of frac sand mining. What is at risk is our democracy, our water, our air quality, home values, our roads, our safety on the roads, and a tourism industry based on scenic beauty and tranquility. Act to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of this county. Thank you. Did you look at those documents?
Michael Fields, Winnebago Township. Good morning. Charges of bullying came up during last week's commissioners meeting, and I'd like to say a few things about the subject. First of all, interrupting isn't by itself bullying. At its worst, interrupting is just impolite, and we've all done it. Real bullying requires a power imbalance. We're all familiar with the schoolyard thug, but bullying takes many forms. For example, I felt bullied after I found myself involved in a costly legal battle with the county after having lodged a legitimate complaint against a neighboring mine that was clearly in the wrong. And you, commissioners, ought to feel bullied if someone even suggests the county will be sued if you vote to ban frac sand mining here. And it should get you riled. People cope with bullies in a number of ways, whether it's the schoolyard thug or a lawyer from a mining company. There's the go along to get along crowd, and there are the doormats. But these coping mechanisms are unsatisfying because they just keep the bully hanging around for more. Then there are those whose sense of self-respect demands that they stand up and fight. So, what's it going to be, commissioners? Are you going to get your hackles up the next time someone threatens to bring in the lawyers if you don't vote the way they want you to? Or are you going to nip it in the bud? I think Justin was right when he said that frac sand will probably be the biggest decision you'll make in your lifetime. It's one that affects the most number of people, I think. Over in the library, there's a book entitled The History of Houston County. Now, try to imagine how you'll be portrayed when this chapter is written for The History of Houston County, Volume 2. Will it be a profile in courage or a profile in caving? Thank you for your time.
Anyone else at this time? Not Brian, you want to address the board? And Tom too, I believe.
Morning. On the agenda for 2 items today. First item is the approval of our 2013 seal coat contract with Farner Asphalt. Farner seal coated a couple dozen miles of roadways for us in 2013. I'd like to close out that project. The original contract was $423,521.67. The total work certified is $384,884.29. So the total quantity was under.
Need a motion for that, Brian?
Yes.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The second item that we have is, we would like to purchase a John Deere 333E compact track loader, which is essentially a big skid steer. We've compared, or looked at a couple different options. One is the state bid, and the other option is to buy it from the John Deere dealership here in Caledonia. Their price is below the state bid price of $72,051.40. And I guess I can let Tom explain, why we have the need for the new skid steer.
Yeah, we got a 190 New Holland skid steer on rubber that we put steel tracks on. We tried to two-fold it, okay, with the tracks, we've constantly taking them off, putting them back on. We do have a need for rubber tires also, for pushing guardrails, sweeping bridge decks, et cetera, et cetera. When I started installing culverts, there we need the tracks. I can't make the machine do two things. I wore the tracks out in 2 years. They're shot, and I've had extensive trouble with the tires. We get them on there, and the tracks, to keep them good and tight, then we spin the tire inside the rim. So we screwed the rim to the tire, and then periodically we get a lot of flat tires. I did not look it up, but I know we've gone through at least 8 tires and 8 rims since we did it this way. And I could use the other skid loader for it's tied up on the pipe crew, because Brian has had a pretty aggressive paving program. And we try to get all the pipes done ahead of the paving. That skid loader's been pretty much tied up. Nobody else has access to it to do the rest of the work. It's kind of a brief, but in a nutshell, what the need is.
We are definitely 2 different machines, each has their own purpose.
Correct.
Skid steer is very short wheelbase versus the track rig, which is a longer wheel, or a longer base, I guess.
Well, they're both the same, Steve.
They are the same.
The one with steel tracks that you just put over the tires is
Yeah.
the same length as the one we're here.
It is.
And for setting pipes, see we don't have an excavator. And so we get in and we make a trench so we can get our loader in to carry the bigger pipes in, et cetera. Well, when we bed the pipes, we gotta bed them deeper because we're not setting from the top. We put in 2-3 feet of bedding underneath the pipes. Well, with the tractor, with the loader, when that comes in to set these pipes, it's pumping. And we're constantly, it's never level. We get soft down in there. Or with this track skid steer, it'll be on the pipe crew, and it's on tracks. Your PSI, pounds per square inch is nil compared to the rubber tires. And that's the need for the tracks, even on the one we've got, is to spread that pressure over a bigger distance.
Yeah, so this would be a one that came pre-fab with the tracks on it,
Yeah.
versus rubber tire with the add-on tracks, which just doesn't function as well.
Well, it takes about 2 hours, sometimes 3, to put them on. And we've done it through the day at times. Where you just can't, we need it someplace else. We need it we use it as a forklift too. If I get a load of cutting edges in, whatever the case may be that we lift off, it is our forklift. We don't have a forklift, on the shop, so.
Use it to clean out box covers and stuff?
Yep,
I was over
on the big box
I was over
culverts.
and visited these guys yesterday. I had a lot of questions about the machinery. I didn't know that they put that when they have a project, they put the culverts in, not counting it. I thought that was part of the construction. So I learned a few things yesterday. It sounds like they're gonna make good use of this.
County Road 4 last year, we did all the pipes, before it was paved. We we got a lot more to do before it finishes next year. And then County Road 9 has been on the agenda for this year, and I haven't even looked at them yet, so,
Do you have a place to store it when it's not being used?
yeah.
for the winter?
Well-
You'll have an extra one though.
Yeah, it'll go down the lower shed. I mean, it's cold
Yeah, the
storage.
shed.
It won't get, basically, this one will not get used, just like the dozer. I mean, you don't use the dozer in the winter, this probably won't get used in the winter.
This summer.
Correct.
Move to approve the purchase?
Further discussion?
The only thing I will say, so far we've had $430,000 in purchases, and the only thing that I'll say is taxes went up $4.1 million in 10 years, and this is 10% of the rate is in the last 10 years. Just put it out there.
Is this included in your budget proposal last
It
August?
was in the
Yeah,
budget.
I believe this is the last equipment in our budget for this year. So everything else in the budget for equipment is now, or everything else for funding left in their budget for equipment is not gonna get used on equipment.
And you're projecting to have to come in again next year, correct?
Next year there'll be more equipment.
More equipment next year.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron?
I'm Ron Miners with the River Soil and Water Conservation District. And good morning, and thank you for having me. My intention today is to update you on changes that are being proposed, I guess, and considered and introduced to not only Houston County's comprehensive water plan, but water plans statewide. There's a concept that's evolving that is going to be called the One Watershed Plan approach, which will basically align water plans with watershed boundaries, entire watershed boundaries instead of counties. And the managers in the river watershed, the entire watershed, have met already and discussed this item and talked to our board rep. I've got Steve Lawler here today in the crowd. He's here with the Board of Water and Soil Resources to answer any questions I may not be able to answer. They're seeking interest right now on a pilot basis, you know, for possibly 3 or 4 watersheds to get started in this endeavor. And they've got grant money available to the tune of almost $500,000 to be able to get this project on the ground. And our take on this whole thing as managers from the River Soil and Water Conservation District is we would like to be on that ground level, making decisions and helping them put those types of plans together so that we've got a voice in this whole thing. I feel it's much better than sitting back and waiting and then maybe being fed this stuff later on without having much input. I've been involved with Houston County's water plan for a number of years, and I can see how valuable that local input is. And so I apologize for getting that information that I handed out to you this morning so late. It came to me late, but I wanted that fact sheet for the commissioners today to be able to look that over, and please feel free to either ask questions or even as the days go by to contact me if you've got any other concerns on this. What I'm looking for today, I guess, is not only to have just a small discussion on it, but to gain support because this is your local water plan. And if we decide that we are going to be the applicant, or basically Fillmore County would be the applicant because they're the larger land base in the river watershed, but the letters of support coming from the commissioners, letters of support coming from our water plan committee will have a huge impact on when we move forward to be hopefully selected as a pilot. The other thing to keep in mind that maybe at this time, and I think I'm right on this, Steve, that there's grant money available to be able to move forward, putting this one watershed plan together for the river watershed. If we miss out on that opportunity, it could be that later on down the road, those funds need to be found someplace to be able to put that plan together.
So was Fillmore County putting in the application and you're looking for our support?
Yeah, we have not reached that decision yet, but as you can see, that map is kind of difficult to see up there in the top, but Fillmore County has got about 46% of the land base in the river watershed. We have not, I've had a verbal commitment via telephone from Donna Rasmussen that they would consider being the applicant on this endeavor.
Which is right, because they are the largest.
Right.
Or other ways, could we put in?
Yes.
Instead?
Yes, I
If
mean,
they-
as a group, if we decided that maybe River would want to be the applicant, then we would be looking for letters of support
Okay.
also from them. So that has not been finalized, that decision, not that I know of yet at this point.
And I think that I would be supportive whichever county takes the lead on it, as long as we get to be involved in the
Yeah.
ground level. I think that that's really important.
Right.
It's good to be proactive, I think.
Right.
I think so too, and Donna had brought up the fact, and a couple of the other managers had brought up the fact that some of the things that we would like to see incorporated in this one watershed plan approach is that every county has got this voice, whether it's through a joint powers board or some kind of group that Houston County will have a voice there also on how the funding mechanism takes place.
Right.
And a couple things to keep in mind that in Houston County, we've also got the Winnebago watershed, we've got the Bee Duck watershed, we've got the Crooked Creek watershed, and we've got these little sub-watersheds within our county. It's my understanding at this point that those would be brought in to this entire river watershed plan, even though they're not within that watershed, but they are part of our comprehensive plan, that they too would be a part of this if they choose to be.
So which would make us even have a bigger percentage of Houston County in that, or is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, then that's something
I did just and my math is not that strong, but the watershed, the river watershed, it can be somewhere between 60, 65, 70 miles in length. So it's an extensive watershed, and it varies between 15 and 20 miles wide. So you're looking at somewhere around 750,000 acres, upwards to 1 million acres in that watershed. I think other things that may be a positive note is we'll have more bargaining power maybe with the legislators when it comes time to seek money through grant opportunities, whether it be the clean water grants, et cetera, that there'll be strength in numbers. And from there, we'll be able to work a little bit more on our implementation schedule and the items that we want to address through our water plan.
It looks like this watershed boundaries, is that north of 44? I'm trying to figure out how they came around the boundaries on that. Houston.
I'm not sure, Dana, that
Kinda
could
looks
be,
like
yeah,
that.
that could be. I didn't prepare that map, and I haven't had a lot of time to
They didn't
research
show
the
it.
boundary. Yep, that's very possible.
I move to approve the watershed plan.
I'll second.
is it the plan for it?
Well,
Or it's
I'm
Oh, the
thinking,
plan.
I'm thinking, Steve, at some point, I would like possibly to put together a sentence or two supporting the application process here to be considered for a pilot. And then maybe you could give the chairman authority to sign that support letter once that's in place.
Whatever it takes. Make it work.
Yeah. We've been sharing this with the other, like I say, with our water plan committee. I've sat down with Rich Stemper, and he's been helping the Crooked Creek watershed draft their plans. Another positive thing about this is you've got so many water plans you're working on all the time, and we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of staff time putting those plans together, revising them every 5 years, et cetera, et cetera. This would give us a little more leeway to work on the implementation side of it instead of having to worry about revisions and plans and everything. It'd be a kind of coordinated effort.
Sounds good.
Steve, do you have?
Yeah, and I think Ron just nailed one of the major reasons for this one watershed, one plan is trying to gain some efficiencies. We have a lot of water plans in the state of, whole state of Minnesota, and a lot of water planners spend a lot of time writing plans and less time implementing those plans, trying to consolidate some of these plans that are similar in a similar watershed where you have the same water-related problems and the same water makes some sense. And so, in that respect, we hope to gain some efficiencies, and we hope to allow your staff to spend more time implementing, less time writing plans.
Motion's on the floor and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
That's good, thank you. It's a good plan. I did get a message that Tessa's coming on next week with her recommendations for hiring and other business, so she will not be here this morning. Rob, you're on early.
Got a dead battery.
On the surface?
Yeah. No, this.
Oh, on mic?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll share.
that's all right. You need it, I don't. I'm all here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am coming to you this morning for some quick and positive items. Basically, I have in front of, I believe you have it, Teresa, or Shar maybe still has it, some grant approval paperwork. Basically, it is a $10,000 grant. It is a non-matching grant. It is a grant that we get the money up front, so we do not have to spend it first. It's through the State Department of Veterans Affairs, and we will be utilizing that grant over the period of the grant for outreach, some training, and some reintegration type things with soldiers returning back, etc. So very, very straightforward. This is the same type of grant that the board has approved annually for years. They actually last year increased the funding of it, the amount of it. So we're fortunate we actually get to see a little more money as a result of it. And as it stands now, this is projected to be an annual grant. So can't use it to replace things, but we can sure use it to put things into place that we otherwise would not have in our budget. So I'm asking for that, and there is also a resolution that is required to be passed along with it. But
Is this a resolution to accept the grant?
I'll make a motion that we accept the grant.
Okay. I second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
all right.
Do we have to do anything with the resolution?
We'll just put that in minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
And that is all I have, unless you have anything else for me this morning. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Early today. Well, you guys have seen the proposal. This is for setting up this courtroom for courtroom commissioner to record meetings, video. We're looking at a quick little rundown of this quote. It's going to basically be, we'll put some new wires to these speakers to get a little better output on these. Video mixer for Shar, so she'll be able to run the cameras. Cameras will be a camera on the board, a camera on the presenter and the public. And we'll also take a feed off the TV. So if there's a PowerPoint, we'll capture it in a video and we'll throw it on the county website.
Is that going to be easy to do, like just a button that Shar can hit to flip?
Correct. We're making it as simple as possible because we don't want to have an elaborate system that fails. We want simplicity. We want Shar to be able to run it. Not that you wouldn't be able to run a complicated one. Quick, easy on the fly. So it's basically with the mixer, she'll have a small screen up there that'll show all three feeds at the same time, and then what she's recording, and she'll be able to switch between which feed she wants. Pretty simple.
Nothing personal, Shar.
We don't want to make her job any tougher than it already is. There we go. So it's a pretty cost-effective quote. I looked at doing it myself in-house. I came with a higher number than this, so having some professionals come in. I know Ace is working with SSE out of La Crosse to do part of this, and it's pretty cost-effective, I believe. Just need a motion to approve the quote.
Since I came on this board, the one thing that I wanted was videotaping and transparency in our meetings, so I'll make a motion that we go forward with this.
Looking for a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion?
I think we'll all have to wear makeup now, I suppose.
And my hair
Good
done?
stuff, yeah.
I don't,
Will look good.
I don't like the idea.
What, getting fixed up? Or being televised?
Televised.
I don't like it either, really, but.
Well, it's not going to be on
That's
TV, so you're in
happening.
good
It's
shape.
happening.
It's going to be on the web.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And in the interim, until this gets officially finished, we'll keep doing with camcorder, so you're aware.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Can you tell me what that cost was? I can't find it really quickly. Got it. Thank you. Sure.
I need one of these autographed then.
Okay.
You have one to autograph?
Do you have a second copy?
Is there no vote?
We made a motion to vote.
Well, we're moving a little bit ahead, so actually we can go with our human service update, I believe. Linda? Karen?
It's Teresa's copy.
Okay.
Are these on? Is the microphone on? No?
That one is bad. The other one, take the other one. You can share that one.
You have to share.
Okay. I'll hand it back to you. How's that? Might be easier. Okay. Good morning. Can you hear me now? Yeah? Okay. Well, we have a short update, so hopefully I don't talk too long here. I mean, I could talk a long time, but what do we have going on in Human Services? This Thursday we have a big quarterly all staff, and we try and make those, we have monthly meetings, but we try and make our quarterly ones a little more enriching and a little longer, so we have a nice agenda plan. One thing we are going to be doing that we actually have been working on within our little smaller units for quite a while is each unit developed their own mission statement, and before now no one had that in our department, so it's a good thing. Mission statements really are just, there's a short statement saying who we serve, why we're here, what our goals are, basically, a real short little synopsis. So now that we have a mission statement in each of our units, which would be the child support unit, the income maintenance unit, social workers, and our accounting unit, we're going to look at all those mission statements together, and then we're going to create one for our entire department. So it would be kind of a team thought, something we're all unified on, and I look at the economic times we have right now, I think we need to have that unified goal. You think back to the early 2000s, and at that time when there were lots of flat organizations who they had a lot more money to spend. They had time for creativity because they were flat, and they would let people do a lot of what they just wanted to do because it was creative, and it seemed to get the job done too. We had that luxury. So now with the economy we have now, I think things are tighter. We need a little more direction, and I think if there ever was a time to have a good mission statement, it's now. Because our goal is to take care of the people in the best way we can, and be fiscally responsible about that too. So that would be the main thing we're going to work on Thursday at our all staff. Other than that, we We also have, I have quite a few legislative goals that we'd like to see the legislature put into place this year. It's kind of a wish list on things they could do to make life a little bit better. One thing I know the legislature has going is they call it an unsession, and in a short synopsis, they're just trying to get rid of some of the red tape and some of the things that really bog us down, because we do have a lot of paperwork and red tape. I'll just read a few of the highlights. First of all, MFIP recipients now, the MFIP people, our income maintenance unit, have to work with, well, hopefully they don't have to, but random drug testing among MFIP recipients. They're trying to repeal that. That's one, I think, really important thing that I think that maybe would land more under social services, that kind of a thing. It's hard for our MFIP people to have to worry about that. The other thing they're trying to do is they're trying to get MA benefits paid for our detox services, and that's a social worker type of thing. But right now the county pays for detox unless we can get reimbursement from someone who's been in detox, then they would have to reimburse us. But really right now the county is the first payer source if there is no insurance to cover that, and so that really does cost our county quite a bit of money. That would be a great thing if that would go through. The other thing, this one doesn't have really to do with income maintenance. This is more social services again, but they're trying to run a bill through, well actually right now it's through the Senate, making foster care homes and vehicles that foster care parents might drive all smoke-free. So I hope that goes through. And along with that, one thing, and I guess I didn't realize they considered this, maybe I'm just in the dark, but secondhand smoke is known to cause things like, or be a contributor to SIDS, respiratory infections, asthma attacks, and ear infections in children. So it's like, why would they allow that in a foster care home? Currently, what we do when we place kids in foster care is we try not to have them go to a home where people smoke. But limited foster care homes, sometimes we don't have a choice. So those are really good things. Back to the simplifying human services. They are again trying to simplify the eligibility processes for income maintenance programs. And I think part of that is the modernization of the technology programs in income maintenance. So Karen will probably talk a little more about that. I have this really long list and I don't want to talk too long. One thing we would like to have done is that we would like to have the state manage the basic sliding fee child care. They do have that that in here too, and I'm not exactly sure what that would mean, but I do know right now we spend a little bit of time on that, and it's a hard program to administer, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be okay if the state would take it over, because that would free our plate up a little bit. Maybe we'd spend more time on MNsure, but I know we kind of spend a lot on that at the moment. The other thing they're talking about doing is suspending the diversionary work program and actually redirecting the resources to something that might be a little more effective. They also want to align the state law with the federal law for the SNAP benefits, and that's, well, it's the food program. What's SNAP stand for, Karen?
Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
I could actually go on and on a little bit about some of this, and I kind of think, well, since it's all speculation at this point, we'll just not. But the other thing I have been doing is our Region 10 has a quality assurance program. We're actually revamping, and we're changing some of the rules. We're revising it. I'm not sure how often this has happened, but and I'm not really sure the history of it. But it's been Olmsted and Houston County for quite a long time who get together and do this. So I've been attending these quality assurance meetings. I think in the past it's been a waiver program, social workers who've gone, and right now our waiver program people are just really, really booked, so I get to go. So it's been a great learning experience for me, and you know, it does keep our interests of the county there, because what I get to do is make sure that we're okay and we're taken care of too. But in the long run, what it does is it sets up the quality standards for waiver programs for our entire region. So they're pretty important meetings. We've had 3, and I think we're going to, we were supposed to originally have 4. Now it sounds like maybe 5. Most of them have been in St. Paul, but one has been in Rochester too. So I've been trying to combine them if I can with other meetings that I'm there for, so I'm not gone too much, but that would be pretty much my update.
When are some of those things being voted on soon, or?
Well,
Is it
you
all
know,
in one package that they're looking at with that, or is it multiples? I know I've read about some of those.
yeah, the one is, it sounds like they maybe are all different packages, but they call it the unsession.
Right.
Yep, and they don't really get into the detail here on when they're going to vote, but I do know they're planning on it being a short session this year, so I could think a lot of this could happen within the next month, maybe month and a half at the latest, because it is the unsession, and I know it's not a bonding bill this year, right? There's no money sessions really this year, so they'll hopefully this is their focus. When I know more, maybe I'll let you know.
Good morning. I'm going to keep it pretty quick. Last time I talked about child protection quite a bit in terms of mental health stuff. This week, or this month, I'm going to focus a little bit on the adult side of things, chemical dependency and adult mental health. What we're seeing, some trends right now, we've had, just in the first quarter so far, about 30 intakes come in for chemical dependency. So it's quite a bit. It's a heavy case, though, 20 of which we opened up here. The other 10 we basically went through the private medical insurance companies, things like that. So it's coming in, it's going to be a rising cost. We contract out currently for our Rule 25 assessments with Hiawatha Valley. And right now the cost has gone up from $65 to about $175 per assessment. And so that's something we're going to be monitoring closely this year to see what that cost does and see if we can't make that something more efficient and more cost effective for the county. With that comes things like chemical dependency commitments and things like that. We do have Roger Schwab from the State Ombudsman's Office to come in and do a free training for us in April in regards to how to do and how to make sure commitments are done correctly here in the county. With that, a lot of what we're seeing is these cases are not just isolated cases of chemical dependency. We do have a dual diagnosis of adult mental health. Right now, we've had about 12 adult mental health intakes come in, 10 of which we accepted here. Caseloads are running manageable, upper 20s, low 30s at this point in time. And so we are busy but maintaining pretty well at this point. And right now, a lot of the adult mental health stuff is handled as a region. And Region 10 is doing a lot of different things, Adult Mental Health Initiative or the CREST funds. I sit on the Strategic Planning Committee, which we're looking at 2 priorities right now. One is expanding prescribers who can be able to prescribe psychotropic meds. And the other one is housing, having housing available for people that, say, as an example, coming out of jail that have some significant mental health issues. How are we handling that right now? Huge inefficiency, a lot of gaps. And so the first thing we're going to start doing is a gap analysis, looking at where those gaps are and how we can fill them with the state funds and grant money that we have. And then with the prescribers, we're looking at doing a couple things. One is working with local colleges on getting some prescribers, nurse practitioners down here, looking at possibly tuition reimbursement, whatever we can do to entice people to get down here so we have enough to meet the needs of our people down here. The other one is telemedicine through Hiawatha Valley, and I just spoke with Riverfront a couple weeks ago. They're willing to do some telemedicine stuff. They're willing to kind of meet people via television, do a diagnostic, do some prescribing possibly. So moving in the right direction, being fairly progressive in those areas, and fairly efficient. Mobile crisis is a response that handles things kind of after hours, looking from this area about 4 to 11 p.m. In the eastern hub, 4 to 11, in the western and central hubs, looking at 24-hour response. Sitting on the steering committee and also the executive committee of that. A lot of this is going to be outreach, a centralized mental health mobile crisis number that can be called, and then actually having those calls sent out to the according hub, to make sure that the services are being out there, wraparound services that go along with that. Somebody gets sent out to crisis, as an example, suicide call, things like that. People go out, they plan around safety, make sure safety's in place, and have that response time be quick and in each hub. So hopefully that will be up and running soon. The goal is to have one centralized number by June 30th.
and then the actual mobile crisis units by the end of the year would be ideal. It's moving quick. We have about $130,000 in startup, which we have to use by June 30th for the region, so it's spanning a large area. And then we do have another grant for 220 that's ongoing, 220,000 to keep us a sustainable program for at least a period of time in the southeast Minnesota region. So things are moving, things are busy, but hopefully for the better. So.
Are you planning on touring a place in Rochester, or have you already that they're doing with the CJC?
Yes, the Minnesota Teen and Adult Challenge. Yep, I've been there. We'll be going there. I've been to one of the cities, looking at their programming.
We talked about this in committee this morning too, and it's a good program. It's going to be really positive.
Yeah, it's gonna almost double our response time, and the outreach piece of it's gonna span law enforcement, public health. I mean, a lot of education stuff, a lot of how to handle these crisis situations, de-escalation skills, things like that. So it'll be good.
I have one more question.
Judy?
Okay, so when they're talking about making foster homes smoke-free, will that affect our county very much as far as the numbers and, I mean, I don't know where we sit on it.
Honestly, there'll be a few. I mean, just the fact that we're small and we don't typically regulate that very much. But yeah, there'll be a few that, but it's not a, I mean, we're not gonna end, we don't have to make you quit smoking, it's, smoke outside, those types of things. So honestly, I don't think the effect would be huge on us.
I just wondered because, we struggle for foster homes to begin with.
Yep, and Carolyn's doing some more outreach. She's doing, she's going to community education programs and doing some orientations and things like that.
There was a good turnout to the one in the press.
Yes, and so she's pretty excited. She's working really hard.
All right, good morning. Just a few updates. I try to figure out how to keep my child support and financial worlds separate, but they're really colliding right now. On the child support front right now, tomorrow we head to Winona for our kickoff meeting for EMS. So the child support unit is going to start their journey into going paperless. At that meeting, we'll see another demonstration, be able to talk to Winona County staff that have already gone through this process. And we'll also get our timeline, so we'll have a better idea of where things are going in our trainings, because we don't have that quite yet. So an exciting time. It's not nearly as involved as the financial workers, so keep your fingers crossed that it's a really smooth transition. A couple different components. Our child support staff needs to be able to take their cases with them to court, so we're having to work with the county attorney's office and IT. So we're pulling a few more partners in on this one to make sure we've got all our bases covered for that. So wish us luck with that. The other part with child support is there are quite a few state reviews that are going on right now. We have not had any cases pulled for any of them, but it's there's a self-assessment that was just completed of the whole state, and there were a few deficiencies statewide that were revealed. Case closures, there's certain circumstances that we can close child support cases, and with our establishment, so the state will be writing a corrective action plan. We haven't gotten the information yet, so that'll be coming. There's also a data reliability audit that's done where they look at the information that's in our PRISM system, which is the program we use for child support. Making sure that our data that's in the system is accurate. Again, there's a report coming, we're not quite sure when. And then the other is there's a quadrennial review that is done every 4 years where DHS pulls 30 cases from each of our 10 judicial districts, and we did not have any cases pulled for that. They're hoping to have analysis done in June with a report out in November. So as we move forward, we'll be reporting on those different areas. And then MNsure, that is truly affecting both sides, child support as well as the financial assistance unit. Child support, it's a different way to do business right now. Typically when somebody's on medical assistance, we get a referral to our child support agency. Those have all stopped right now. So we're trying to figure out what the impacts of MNsure will be on child support, and we really don't have a clear picture at this point in time. So We're just trying to work through that and wait and see what happens as far as MNsure goes.
Is that a statewide
Yes.
that they're having the problem, or is it?
Statewide, well, and right now MNsure is not real stable. They're working, deadline is March 31st to have people signed up. So all the resources right now are in MNsure. And I can't speak for the state with child support, but the feeling is that they're trying to just sit and wait until the system stabilizes so they know what the impacts are. So we're trying to be consistent, and until we get some answers, it's really hard to know what to do on the child support side, which is hard because we're used to doing things a different way, and then you're told you have to stop. So and we, like I said, we really don't know. Is it going to increase our caseload? Is it going to decrease? We just don't have any really good answers. So we're kind of sitting in limbo on the child support side. So, and there's not a lot of direction coming down. So, which is kind of the theme with MNsure. So, but then on the financial assistance side, as I said, we are living MNsure right now. The deadline is the 31st. So the state there's a huge push to get as many people on as possible. I have had to pull extra staff to work in the MNsure system. Where there were a lot of hangups where people were applying online and their cases were kind of getting stuck. I won't go into too much detail, but they kind of go into a holding pattern. So we've had to have staff go in and touch each of these cases and push them through. We're getting increased calls from people. There's still issues with interfaces, so somebody might find out in MNsure that they've got coverage, and then the system that reads to the medical providers, they're not there. So it has definitely increased the workload on the MNsure side. We do have and have set up sessions where we do have a navigator that has come into Houston County. He will be back here again next week on the 27th, 28th, and 29th. And I have to thank all of the libraries within Houston County and all of the local media because they've really helped advertise this and get the word out to the citizens.
So you have been getting good turnout at it?
Yeah. The feedback I've gotten is that they've had and been able to get people enrolled into the system. So, that's a good thing there. And then as far as EDMS goes, financial workers were up and running. The hard part is MNsure does not interface with our EDMS, so where we like to say we're all paperless, we have had to go back to paper for our MNsure system because of how case numbers are assigned and how our information meshes together. On Friday, they are looking at, we've come up with a potential fix for that, so we'll be looking at that. And then there's another appointment feature that as a region, the counties that don't have it, we are looking at, and I think there's some demonstrations that are being scheduled for us to really see if it's a good fit and something that we actually want and that it'll benefit us. So just a lot going on. Things are really changing on all fronts. When we talk simplification, that when you really look down at the county level, simplifying the rules doesn't always make it easier. Yes, the programs are trying to be more streamlined and they're trying to make the rules the same across the board, but oftentimes simplification creates more work, more complex rules that we have to follow. So we know that, we know all of our systems will be changing in the next 3 years, so we just are trying to manage that and work through it the best we can.
Good report.
Good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
I do have one more thing that, of course, I left off, but last month we talked about the resiliency training, and it's called Learning to Bounce Back in the Face of Adversity. Anyway, I visited with Sand Creek, and yes, they can come, and they're going to do it for the whole county, which is pretty neat. So June 19th is the date, and what they're going to do is they're going to have 4 sessions. The first session will be just for our unit, but it's for employees, and then the other 3 will be, and I'll give the details this afternoon, and there might be a little variation in it, but basically there will be 2 sessions open to all county employees, and then the last session of the day is reserved for commissioners, department heads, and supervisors. And the thing is, though, the commissioners, department heads, and supervisors really need to go to one of the employee sessions as well, because the last session of the day, just for the people, the management set, really is built off of what goes on in the first sessions with employees. And I guess I'm really excited. I talked to the guy this morning. Jeff Kraus is his name. He's going to be training and doing the same thing over in Fillmore County the day before. So it's just going to be nice. We won't be the very first people either. Then I know he has their goal. He told me their goal this morning was to touch every county in the state of Minnesota within the next 2 years. So we're on the front end of that. I'm kind of glad, and I think staff will look forward to it. Not just my staff. I think all the staff, because we all have things that go on, even at home versus work. We just have a lot of things. So this is going to be a very nice talk, and it's about a 1 hour talk. So it's not like you're investing a lot of time. Of course, you get to drive here and everything. We'll be over in the CJC, so just I will keep everybody posted. That's it.
No, I thought you said June 21st.
I
this
did,
morning.
and I looked at the calendar, and it's June 19th.
It's June 19th.
Yep, it's a
okay.
Thursday. It's the Thursday after the third week of the county board meeting.
Thank you for doing that.
Mhm. Oh. Good.
Anything else?
I think we're good. Unless you have questions? All right. Well, thank you then.
Thank you. Good update. It's real. Moving on to the consent agenda then. Correspondence and payroll regarding changes to employment status. And to Polly Haberline regarding appointment to the EDA board.
Motion approved.
Second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unfinished business frac sand issue, the only thing I have is that notice that we got, which was also in the papers, about the Environmental Quality Board meeting in Rochester tomorrow afternoon, Homestead County Government Center from 1 to 4. Supposed to be concerning the final vote on approving frac sand handbook for local governments. So just, I think Rick sent it out to everybody too. Okay. That's all I have. Anything on the highway department?
No, we can set up a meeting, talk to Steve and Brian and set something up here.
That's good.
Commissioner, did you ever identify the planning commission members that would be on that frac sand ordinance writing committee? Are you able to address that?
Dan Griffin and Glenn Cruz.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Speaking of that, that was a good presentation last week, Justin, as far as yours, except you gotta quit swirling it around.
I forget that people don't see it the same way. Yeah, and well, I'll keep doing that too, as we get plans going or something, I'll keep updating it, you know, so.
Courthouse issues? I don't know, are we kind of waiting on this session to see if we get that grant?
If we get a call.
Do we need to do any contacting, or?
No, I think,
Okay,
That we need to go to
when it is?
yeah.
Okay. Commissioner report, Dana.
Yeah, I have visited with Brian about that gentleman with the red issue, and I've also visited with one of his township offices where he's from.
Okay.
And you want me to tell you what they told me, or do you
Yes.
want?
No, that sounds good.
Brian said it's a township issue, that needs to be settled by the township.
Okay.
The township gets the chloride from the county, and then they sell it to the property owners. And evidently, they're not giving him enough, he's not happy about it.
It's really up to the township, I
Yeah,
think, to
it
really
is.
decide whether or
He's-
not to
he does-
charge.
I told that to him, he doesn't, he's not happy.
Yeah, this came up last year.
Yeah, he brought it up last year this time. Brian said that you get the same complaints from people who say, how come one county road is blacktop and mine's gravel, you know? So you can't be comparing.
You know, each township makes their own decision.
Yeah, so I don't know how that's gonna get resolved. He's not happy.
Okay,
It is a township issue. He needs to take it up with his township.
okay, that sounds good.
And
We should probably get back to, or you did talk to this gentleman.
I just visited with him before the meeting.
Okay.
But he's still gonna go through it. I told him we couldn't respond during the public comments. So
Okay.
I would like to, and Brian's here too. And then also, last night I had a study review, update on the ordinances again, study committee.
Okay.
That we've been working on ongoing.
Is that a weekly meeting?
It's getting, we're trying to have more and more frequently, because we're trying to get, we got a lot to cover yet. Like I said last week, at some point, Bob's gonna bring in what we've already done. Try and get like the intern use and stuff like that, get some of it approved by us. They'll bring in, and there'll also be a public hearing, so that people from the public can see what the updates are gonna be. It's really very good. These gentlemen are really dedicated, and a lot of good discussions. We got planning and zoning and people from townships, and also from Crescent Township, the ones that have their own ordinances. And everybody has really good input.
That's
And
good.
I think we're really progressing, really good. Looks good. That's it.
Justin, any meetings?
Not this week.
I was pretty slack too. I think for me.
I had tourism in southern Minnesota, tourism meeting in Wabasha. A lot of really good stuff for promoting tourism in the area that will be EDA to work through.
The only thing I attended outside of this was the township annual meeting, but that was La Crescent Township. So they run a very quick meeting too. Discussion items, approved claims.
Move to approve the claims, A&M Human Services, license center disbursements.
Second.
I did you get my notice
Yep,
about
and
the?
we got that it's corrected.
Okay, sounds good. See, I do read through that stuff. Okay, further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Oh, yes, and then I did send on about the notice I got from Winona County concerning working on more regional projects. And I think we talked about that before. We originally had met with Fillmore and Winona and us in Winona at one time, but I think they're even wanting to expand it a little further. And it was suggested we either do it at the AMC meetings or the district meetings. And I think more of us attend the district meetings, and if you're there for one purpose, I felt that it would be a good idea, but we have to let them know, so, discussion.
When is the next?
District meeting?
Yeah.
I don't have it written down. It's usually May something, for fourth Monday in May, something like that, or, nope, that's Memorial Day. I'll check that out, I don't know when the next one is.
It's a good idea, though. I saw the letter, I thought it was.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I know Dwayne Baki responded to it right away and said,
Mhm.
they've been talking about the same thing, so. So can consensus to let them know? We'll work. Okay, sounds good. You want me to do that, Shar? Sure. Okay, approved gambling permit for ABC. That's our usual annual one, isn't it?
Yeah, they're running a
What's this?
raffle.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, I think we were gonna ask questions about our use of our little computers. But I think we'll recess before we do that and double check with Andy that. I did write down a bunch of things, but it's probably stupid things. It's like Justin showing me how to work the timer.
So I'll make a motion that we recess for 5 minutes.
Second.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, all in favor of recess for 5 minutes? Opposed? Thank you.